Hi, Hallie. It's Aunt Nissa again. I'm going to send you two videos today to catch up a little bit. And the house is quiet. There hasn't been a lot of that lately. So let's start with chapter 3, and I'll send some questions later this week, okay? All right. Chapter 3. On my way home, I whistled and sang. I was so happy, I made up a little song. It went something like this. There are monkeys in the bottoms in those tall white sycamores. There are monkeys in the bottoms worth 1,000,000 or more. So come along, old Rowdy, and let's get on the trail of $100 monkey. We'll catch it by the tail. Rowdy didn't seem to like my singing at all. He wouldn't even look at me. He just jogged along with his head down as if I wasn't even there. I was the happiest boy in those Ozark Hills, and I figured I was pretty close to being the richest boy too. All I had to do was catch those monkeys. And right then, that didn't seem like any chore at all. Several times I stopped and tried to do a little arithmetic in the dust of the country road. Smoothing out a place with my hand and using my finger as a pencil, I tried hard to figure out how much money the monkeys were worth. I didn't have too much trouble adding up a column of $2 monkeys. It was that $100 monkey I had trouble with. Every time I added him to the pot, something went wrong. I'd get so rich and excited I couldn't figure out anything right. Rowdy didn't help the situation in the least. He couldn't understand what I was doing down on my knees in the middle of the road, fiddling around in the dust. He would get curious and come around, sniffing to see what was going on. All he did was walk around in my figures and mess things up until I couldn't tell what the monkeys were worth. I finally gave up and decided I'd let Daisy figure it out for me. She was good with arithmetic. The road from Grandpa's store ran by our farm. As I came walking along, singing my head off, Papa called to me from the field where he was planting corn. I climbed the rail fence and walked over to him. Papa smiled and said, "Say, it looks like you were right about those monkeys. Right after you left for the store, I went to get Sally Gooden, and I think I saw a monkey in every sycamore tree down there. I can't understand it. As far as I know, we've never had any wild monkeys around here." "They're not wild monkeys, Papa," I said. "They got away from a circus train that wrecked over on the railroad." Grandpa told me all about it. He said that there were about 30 of them, and they're worth a lot of money, too. The circus people are offering a reward for them. "So that's where they came from," Papa said, looking relieved. "I'm glad to hear that. I was beginning to wonder what was going on around here." "Did you say they're offering a reward for the monkeys?" "They sure are," I said, "and it's more money than I've ever heard of. They're willing to pay $2 apiece for all of those monkeys but one, and they'll pay $100 for that one." I really bore down on it when I told Papa about that $100 monkey. Papa just stood there for a second, staring at me, and then, uttering a low whistle, he turned and looked toward the river bottoms. "Say, that is a lot of money," he said. "I didn't know monkeys were worth that much money." "I didn't either, Papa," I said. "It beats anything I ever heard of. All that money for a bunch of little old monkeys." Papa frowned and said, "There must be more to this than we know about. I can understand a fellow paying $2 for a monkey, but whoever heard of anyone paying $100 for one?" "Papa," I said, "Grandpa said those monkeys have been trained for acts in the circus. It takes a long time to train a monkey. That's why they're so valuable." Papa was like me. He couldn't get that $100 monkey off of his mind. "I don't care how long it takes to train a monkey," he said. $100 is $100. Why, you could buy a good meal for that much money, and if you talk just right, they might even throw in the harness." "There's a catch to this reward business, Papa," I said. "The monkeys have to be caught alive and not harmed in any way." "I see," Papa said, nodding his head. "I figured there was a catch somewhere. When it comes to making money like that, there's always a catch. It would be simple to shoot those monkeys, but taking them alive? I don't know about that. It could turn out to be a tough job." "Well, I don't care how tough it is, Papa," I said. "If you'll let me, I'd sure like to give it a try. I believe I can catch those monkeys, every last one of them." Papa thought a second and said, "It may not be as easy as you think. How would you go about catching them?" "With these," I said, reaching in my gunny sack for the traps. "Grandpa fixed 'em for me. He thinks they're the very thing for catching monkeys and not hurting them." Papa took one of the traps and looked it over, and then he laughed and said, "Leave it to your grandpa to figure out something like this. But by golly, it does look like a good idea. Yes, sir, it sure does. It might work at that." Handing the trap back to me, Papa said, "You know, this time of the year there's not much to do around the farm, just planting, and I could take care of that. You go right ahead and have a go at those monkeys. Maybe you can catch them. You've caught everything else in these hills." "I'll catch 'em," I said very determinedly. "You just wait and see. By tomorrow night, I'll have a sack full of them, and one of them will be that $100 monkey. He's the Jasper I'll be looking for." "We'll see," Papa said, laughing. Glancing up at the sun, he said, "Now, you better go to the house and help your mother set those hens. I'd like to finish planting this field before sundown." I thanked Papa for going along with me on my monkey-catching business and strutted off towards the house. So far, everything was working out fine, but there was one more stump in the way, and that was Mama. I was well prepared for her, though. After all, I've been living around Mama for 14 years, and a boy can learn a lot about his Mama in that length of time. I knew just what to do and just what to say to wear her down. Papa had already told Mama after seeing those monkeys, but when I told her about the reward and that I intended to catch them, she did just what I had expected her to do. She flew straight up. "Jay Barry," she said in a hard voice, "you're not going down in those bottoms to catch any monkeys. Now, that's all there is to it. I won't have it at all. Why, I go crazy." Putting one of my half-dead, broken-legged looks on my face, I got ready for one of those Mama and boy go-arounds. "But Mama," I argued, "just think of how much money those monkeys are worth. And you know I never get a chance to make any money, just 10 or 15 cents now and then for an old possum hide or something. Why, if I catch all of them, I could get myself that pony and the 22 I've been wanting so long. You wouldn't keep me from doing that, would you?" I saw a hurt look spread over Mama's face. This made me feel bad, but I'd been wanting a pony and a 22 so long I didn't want to give up. Mama came over to me and started straightening my suspenders. It seemed like my old suspenders were always twisted. Grandpa said I got into my britches too fast. "Jay Barry," Mama said, "I know you've been wanting that pony and a gun, but I worry so much when you're down in those bottoms. Just you and that old hound dog. Why, I never know what's liable to happen. Besides, it would be practically impossible to catch a monkey in those bottoms. Monkeys like to climb, and some of those sycamores are 100 feet tall. You'd probably fall out of one and break every bone in your body." Reaching for my traps, I said, "Mama, I'm not going to do any tree climbing. I'm going to trap those monkeys." She frowned and took a look at one of the traps, looked it over and said, "This is some of your grandpa's work, isn't it?" "Uh-huh," I said. "He fixed them for me." Shaking her head, Mama said, "I don't know. Sometimes I wonder who the boy is, you or your grandpa. Have you talked to your father about this monkey-catching business idea of yours?" Seeing that Mama was giving in a little, I started talking 100 miles a minute. "He said it was all right with him, Mama," I said. "There's not much to do around the farm right now, just planting, and he said that he could take care of that." Handing the trap back to me, Mama sighed and said, "Well, between your father and your grandpa, it looks like I can't say no. But Jay Barry, there's one thing I want understood. You're not going to those bottoms, monkey hunting, unless your father is close by in the fields. If something did happen to you, maybe between him and Rowdy, we could at least find your body." Mama could take a little bit of something like that and make it sound like the funeral had already started. She was good at things like that. "Mama," I said very seriously, "do all mamas worry like you do? I'm 14 years old, almost a grown man, and you've been worrying about me ever since I was born. It makes me feel no bigger than a jumped-up minute." Mama smiled and said, "I'm pretty sure that all mothers worry about their boys. Right now you're a little too young to understand, but someday you'll be married and probably have a boy of your own, and then I think you will understand." "Oh, no, I won't, Mama," I said, shaking my head. "I'll never get married. I can't understand women." Mama got kind of mad when I said that. "Don't be silly," she said. "That wasn't a very nice thing to say. Now you get that straw. I want to set those hens." Feeling as good as if I had just waded the Mississippi River, I breathed a sigh of relief and let out for the barn to get some straw. Besides Sally Gooden, There was one other thing that we had around our farm that I thought we could surely do without, and that was setting hens. Mom and Daisy could do anything in the world with those hateful old things, but I couldn't. Every time I got close to one of those cranky old sisters, she puffed up 10 times bigger than she actually was and started squawking and pecking. By the time we'd gotten the old gals taken care of, my hands were hurting all over. Mom and I were back in the house, and I was rubbing some Raleigh salve on my hand-pecked hands when I thought of my little sister. "Mama, where's Daisy?" I asked. "I want to tell her about the monkeys." "I think she's up in her playhouse," Mama said. "I saw her going up the trail a while ago." Taking the sack of candy that Grandpa had given me, I started up to Daisy's playhouse. I was almost there when I heard her laughing and talking. Leaving the trail, I eased around and peeked through the bushes to see what was going on. A small sunbeam had borne its way down through the overhead green, and the playhouse was being bathed in a warm, radiant glow. Daisy was sitting on the ground with her back against the trunk of a huge red oak. Her crutch was laying beside her, and as usual, her little friends were all around. Chipmunks were scampering, and birds were singing. A chirring squirrel was perched on the arm of the cross. His flicking tail was keeping perfect time to the music of the hills. A big fat bunny was curled up in Daisy's lap, just as though he belonged there. As I watched, a tiny little wren dropped down from the branches of the red oak, and it lit on Daisy's crippled leg. She smiled and started cooing to it. Everything looked so peaceful and happy that I hated to disturb them. Just before stepping out of the bushes, I coughed to let them know I was coming. The instant I showed my face, you'd have thought a boogeyman had shown up. The bunny hopped, and the squirrel jumped, the birds flew, and the chipmunks faded into the ground. It always made me mad when the silly little things did that. I would never have harmed one of Daisy's little friends. Old Rowdy wouldn't have hurt any of them either, and that was saying something. Feeling a little hurt all over, but letting on that I hadn't noticed anything, I handed the sack of candy to Daisy and said, "Guess what's happened?" And that's where we're going to close for today. Let me put my marker in. All right. Good stuff, huh? Can't wait to read more to you soon. Love you.